Thank you very much. And just on that international flavour, with the live stream coverage, we'd love your comments. If you've got some questions, we'll try and answer them during the day. So just head to the Shannons Nationals Facebook page. You can leave a comment at the bottom there. And I note that we've got some decent international viewers too. I want to say g'day to Adam, who's been on socials. He's watching in the United States, and he's been having some social dialogue with a buddy of his who's watching in Argentina. So we've got people everywhere, which is tremendous. And to update you, Richard is with us, of course. Ryan Sewell, from a round point of view, leads the point score from Harry Jones. But in outright terms, remember they had their season opener, of course, at Symonds Plains in Tasmania. It's Harry Jones who is on top now in championship terms by 12 going into this one.
Morning, Rusty. Cracking day for it,
Cracking
isn't it?
day.
Already 20 degrees outside, sun shining, track temperature 29, and that will just keep going up as the ambient temperature rises. And talking about an international audience, well, it doesn't get much more international than Porsche one-make racing. 8 Porsche Carrera Cup championships around the world. There's 15 one-make categories with the GT3 Cup challenges in various parts of the world. So there's lots of people tuning in to watch this because it's the same kind of racing you get in the States, in Europe, in South America, and across Asia and Japan and China as well. So a lot of interest, and drivers from this category are working their way up through the ranks, as Cam mentioned, into the Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup and FIA World Endurance Championship, the likes of Matt Campbell.
It's a real standout as far as our Shannons Nationals is concerned, a real series that we follow very closely. So after that breakthrough for young Ryan Sewell yesterday, he joins the winners list in Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. He'll start from pole position. Sam Sheehan, well, he described it as a breakthrough day for him, didn't he? Brilliant stuff.
Quote, best race ever for Sam, the Adelaidean, with the Pro-Am win thanks to Tag Heuer, but second outright. He's third outright in points.
Amazing.
He's a Pro-Am driver against a bunch of teenagers, as he said, that are young enough to be his kids, but he was able to punch his way forward. Terrific drive. Some drivers to watch at the bottom of the top 10 here. Tom Taplin was fourth in the race yesterday. Unfortunately penalised 15 seconds for passing under yellow. Tommy couldn't actually see the yellow flag, so they were quite lenient with that penalty. It's usually a drive-through, so he goes from 7th. Aaron Love goes from 10th at the bottom of the page there. He led yesterday's second race on a restart, grabbed a break going up into turn 2, ran wide, and dropped back to 5th. And a lap later fired it off the road at high warp speed at turn 1 at 200 k's an hour. Very nearly tipped the car over. Was at the hotel last night, and his dad hadn't actually seen it. So we just fired the live stream up and showed him that incident. And
sit down, Dad, sit down.
It was a little bit quiet for a while there, believe it or not. A couple of drivers to watch further back in Tag Heuer Pro-Am. Class B battle as well. Andrew Goldie is 12th. He leads that class. They're in the older generation 997 Porsche GT3 Cup car. And further back, a couple of guys on debut this weekend. Nathan Halstead, Belford, and Ewer, who goes from 17th place. They're all brand new. The story, of course, Max Vidot going from the back of the field, as Cameron touched on at the top of our coverage. Popped a clutch starting from pole yesterday. He was the championship leader. Basically a 60-point swing, Rusty. You cannot afford to DNF races in a championship this close. He went from 1st to 3rd in the standings. He's now behind the 2 McElrea Racing drivers, Harry Jones, and yesterday's race winner, Ryan Sewell. And
I love the Sonic way. So I walk down through pit lane as we're wrapping up a big day of action on Saturday here. I see Mike Henry with this kind of wry smile. He's at the laptop. Car's up on the jacks. I look underneath it, and who is helping to remove that clutch, to change that clutch? Max Vidot was in there with the tools.
It's great, isn't it? He's a terrific young guy. He's moved his life from his hometown in South Australia over to Melbourne to be with the team. He's telling me, Maria Ritter was telling me the other day that he takes the boys out for Palmy night once a week. So that team bonding exercise is terrific for a young guy. 18 years of age, forging his way in the motorsport world. Before we start, this is a Jim Richards Endurance Trophy race, so a series within a series in Cup Challenge, 24 laps, more than double the distance yesterday. Previous winners of the Jim include Cooper Murray last year, Jordan Love, Jackson Evans in 2016. Some big names have won the endurance portion of Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. This is a big race in the context of the weekend.
Very prestigious trophy as well. Who will put their name on it at the end of the 2019 season? Oh, Sheehan, a little bit of movement at the start line. Let's see what happens. He gets the advantage. Look, coming down the inside here. Sewell's been swallowed up as they go into turn 1 for the first time. Pancioni, nice job up to 3rd.
Great start, Pancioni, and Cameron Crickaway nicely as well. The pole man went nowhere. It's been a story of the weekend in Cup Challenge. Perfect Terrific start, Sam. She hit on the outside of the front row, but I wonder if they'll look at that in race control because he did roll slightly. They'll have to look at it. Car round in the back of shot. Yep, in the Dakin car. Number 87, one of our Class B contenders. Now Harry Jones looks down the inside at turn 4. McElroy driver takes the race lead.
Brilliant stuff.
Oh, off the road. That's Brett Bolton, Pro-Am contender, McElroy driver. And there's Max Vidot. He's 11th, Rusty, at the first sector.
That's
from
nuts.
23rd.
Nearly in the top 10. Max Vidot from the back of the grid. So Jones is your new race leader from Sam Shaheen. Pancioni third. So let's focus on what's happened.
Well, that's Ryan Sewell. I wonder if he's either clutch or drive shaft, similar to what we saw with Max Vidot yesterday. He's stranded on the exit of turn 2, the change of direction into the right-hander at turn 3. I wonder if that may well bring the safety car onto the racetrack if they feel like it's on a dangerous part of the circuit. Now Pancioni looking down the inside of Sam Shaheen.
He was on to wrap up a brilliant weekend here at Sydney Motorsport Park, currently second in the point standing, so he may now feel this. Look at wild ride for, is that Love?
Yeah.
Man, that'll get the heart started.
Exit of turn 12, couple of wheels off, and the car just wanted to drag itself right into the wall. Would have had to lift off the throttle there. He's lost a little bit of ground, fortunately running on his own bit of racetrack. Now looking up the inside is Cameron Crick, the Sydney sider from Camden, not far from here, closer to the old Oran Park, and he's got position, gets himself up to third. Sam did say before the start of this race that he was on the older tyres. He elected to use both new sets of tyres in the sprint races yesterday, so it's sort of the cleanest dirty socks for this one for Sam Shaheen.
Jones doing a beautiful job in the early phase of this race. Fastest lap so far. Vidot is hassling Lochisano here for 8th position. Gets it done. Nice work. That's a move. Executed superbly by Max Vidot as we take you down to pit lane. Emma?
Just in Ryan Sewell's garage, Matt. Did you see what happened?
It's done a clutch. They have to get it up to a bite point on the clutch. He's held it there too long, overheated it, and it's one of those things what happens with a young guy.
Tough love, thank you.
Cheers.
That is exactly what happened to Max Vidot yesterday. So this, Rusty, is part of that learning process of young drivers coming to terms with these cars. They're notoriously difficult to get off the line. All the weight over the rear axle and a really sticky Michelin tyre. So they've got a lot of traction. But the margin between, as Aaron Love goes down the inside of Sam Shaheen to grab 4th place, the margin between stalling the car and braking into wheel spin is a couple of percent. You're launching a car with 450 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. So the margin's very, very slim. And if you hold the clutch on the bite point for too long, it'll burn out. It's what happened to Max Vidot yesterday. It's what happened to our race 2 winner this morning. And this just changes the championship again, Rusty. What a dramatic weekend.
Meantime, they've been busy in race control. So Stephen Johnson, who you know well from Supercars competition, has been a very good racer in his own right, is in charge of driving standards here, and the officials team there have looked at those starts clearly. And Sam Shaheen, I hope I get an invite to the bend. I was a little worried about what I saw off the start line there, but clearly they viewed it the same. He's got a 5-second penalty to his name. Similar story for McGregor, and Sewell, we know he's out of the game right now. He too copped a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, just to rub salt into the wounds. Won't really matter because he's out of the motor race. They've obviously decided that where that car is parked on the side of the road is a safe location. They've let this thing go green. So, as things settle down, Harry Jones, who's been Mr. Consistency in the championship so far, either 2nd or 3rd in every race of the season so far, he leads. Christian Pancioni, the young Victorian, is 2nd. Cameron Crick, Sydney sider, 3rd for GWR Australia. Aaron Love up to 4th. Sam Shaheen next. Now, Sam will be frustrated, but his main priority is the class result, Tag Heuer Pro-Am. So he's just got to focus on car number 84. Back in 7th place, that's Brett Bolton. That's his closest rival in Pro-Am for the round result. So as long as he's got 5 seconds between himself and the white, black and silver car, he'll be okay. He'll still get to stand on the podium here at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Best presented, you would know if you follow your Porsche racing closely, the tip of the hat that Hovey and his team have done with that incredible car 73 livery this weekend. That is a bit of a throwback to the Rothmans liveries of years gone by. You're continuing to watch Pancioni and Crick battle away here. Aaron Love with the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:31.90 as we go back down to the lane and Cam.
I've got Jason Dunstan from Ash Seawood Motorsport just having a chat about Christian Pancioni, a young man that's coming to the fore pretty quickly.
No, he's doing a great job. The start of last year in January, hot as Winton, never driven a manual car. Ash sat in the passenger seat, put Christian in a 944, did a day in the 944. Next time put him in a Group B Cup car, champion last year. Kid's got talent.
So the other question I've got for you, they've got the old Charger out the front at the moment in Sam Shaheen. How's Christian going to go about this?
Yeah, press on. Press on. He's had an indifferent weekend thus far, but you got to get points. Get some good points. You know, Taylor and Bend at the end of the year is such a long way away. See how we go. He's looking all right at the moment, so.
Thanks, Jace.
No worries, mate.
I know they rattled off lots of career-based stuff there, but for me, in meeting him here at this very track last year, one of the things that really stood out, he was able, in an older generation car, to regularly battle and beat guys with newer machinery. I thought it was a standout year for him.
Yeah, that's been a hallmark of this category especially, is young drivers starting in the older generation car, which is slower over a lap, and beating the faster cars. That's a big tick as Vito looks down the inside of Brett Bolton at turn 1. Has to bide his time there to get past one of our Tag Heuer Pro-Am contenders. Up to 8th place from 23rd on the grid in 4 laps of racing. It's been a terrific charge. But both Matt Campbell and Jackson Evans, who we touched on at the start of the race, Rusty, went through that process. Learn in the older car where there's no pressure, there's no focus right at the very front of the field. Oh, off the road, Max! Hold on to it. And he's, now there's a drama here because he's torn the front splitter off that car. Little plastic strip that sits under the front bar, under the radiator inlets. It doesn't look like much, but it creates a lot of front downforce on these cars. So Max in car 77 is going to struggle with understeer for the rest of this race. That car will want to push through the long sweeping corners. It won't want to turn in as well.
21 laps to go, Richard.
It'll torch the front tyres.
Not ideal. He's done a great job to be able to get up to position 8. Yes, the ability to pass and get ahead of those in front of him, that mission would get harder and harder, but that's superb from the rear of the grid. So let's see how much that wounds Max Vidot. Can I offer a positive? In speaking with his dad yesterday, I thought the way that he handled the interview after all the clutch issues, the fact that he was going to look long game here. Yes, it's a blip on the radar as far as points are concerned. Real mature stuff from Max Vidot.
Yeah, and I think 12 months ago he might not have approached it like that, but a year at this level of competition, really impressive. Still again looking down the inside of Bolton. This time he's got half a car there, but the car not turning in quite as well as the McElroy prepared entry in front.
Gets it done, does he now? Dives under brakes at turn 2. Nice move. Max Vidot moves up to position 7 here now.
And may not feel an immediate impact on losing the front splitter on that car. It'll play off later in the race where he'll start to hurt because the front tyres will go off, especially the right front here at Sydney Motorsport Park with all the left-handed corners, or the weight goes over to the right-hand side of the car and it torches the rubber. So speaking of young drivers, 7 Porsche Michelin Juniors in the field this year. And here's a couple of them going at it for 3rd place. Aaron Love has caught up to the back of Cameron Crick. We were talking about Christian Pancioni before. Christian's 17, year 12 high school student. So trying to balance the VCE, Victoria, trying to complete his high school education whilst forging a motor racing career as well. He was a gun carter in KZ Karts, young Christian, as many of these young drivers were.
Do you get credits for that towards you?
You'd think you would, yeah. Is there a recognition of prior learning or something like that?
I'd like to move emotions.
School of Motor Racing, sir.
Aaron Love, fastest lap of the race so far, 1:31.69. So, as Richard detailed at the beginning of the coverage of this race, had that wild ride coming through turn 1 yesterday. Was mighty fast on cold tyres at the commencement of the race. Made a bit of a blue down at turn 2 after the safety car restart. And coming through turn 1, it stepped on him mid-corner, didn't it? The back let go on him. And from there, it was a wild ride off the exit of turn 1. Fortunately, car didn't tip over, and thankfully the damage wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was a huge moment, and he said exactly how you just described it. I turned in, and I felt the rear snap, and when it snaps at 200 k's an hour, it's almost impossible to catch, and it just fired him across the road. Remarkably still able to finish 10th, so he salvaged some really good results if he can get Cameron Crick here, it may well get him into the top 3 for the round overall. So he's still a shot at the podium, despite surviving a 200 km/h off. Which are pretty good results.
Cam Crick has got some nice family support. I've seen his brother this weekend. His mum is here as well. And really proud of the fact that Mark Webber's father, Alan, has been here in their corner, if you will. The Webbers and the Crick family have a great relationship. When Cameron's father, Rodney, passed away a few years ago, sadly, Mark came here for the funeral and to celebrate really Rodney's life. And here's the move. Love gets it done. Moves by Cameron Crick. That's for 3rd position. So nice to see Alan Webber here supporting him.
Alan's actually been around the Porsche paddock quite a lot the last couple of years because he supports, and come back to that because Crick's on, got a good run out of turn 12 and he's in the tow. Aaron Love on the run down into turn 1. Love's on the correct side of the racetrack though to cover his line. It might just compromise his mid-corner speed at turn 1. He'll have to defend up here at 2. Should have the correct line to hold off on the Sydney sider. Alan's involved with young Cameron Hill, former Australian Formula 4 champion who races in Porsche Pace Carrera Cup Australia, the privately run single car family team, and Alan's been at most of those rounds supporting fellow Canberran. Great to see guys from the ACT and National Level Motorsport. It's cool to see. Good to see Alan in the paddock.
So taking a look at the Shannons Nationals replay here. Cameron Crick, the Plus Fitness entry. You can see it gets a little bit loose there, and that was all the invitation that Love needed. Love moves into 3rd, and while we were watching that battle, Max Vidot's moved to 6th as well. Has been able to get past Taplin. Good job.
And Sam Shaheen, his next target, only 1.6 seconds up the road. Christian Pancioni's got very good pace. Just punched out the fastest first sector of the motor race at the moment in his pursuit of race leader Harry Jones. Here's the livery Rusty mentioned before. Michael Hovey, middle of shot, white and blue car, classic Porsche Le Mans tribute liveries. The Rothmans RSR.
Where are we going here? And they touch. Around they go. That was awkward, very awkward indeed. The move was never really on.
Marcel Zalua, the Valmont Racing car, 2-car outfit, Sergio Perez involved. It's got broken right front suspension, so he's not going any further.
Look at that left rear for Hovey's car.
That's been hole punched, hasn't it? Here's another look. That was really strange. So I'm wondering, Zalua got a very good run out of turn 5 and just looked down the inside here. And I think at that point he realised he wasn't going to stop. And big brake lock up, so the inside was locked as well as he was trying to turn in, but that's a very strange incident to try and sort of shortcut the corner like that.
It was obviously like opportunity. Yeah, I'm in here, but then realised.
Probably won't be getting an invite to the Michael Hovey Christmas party, Marcel Zalua, at the moment, I wouldn't have thought.
May also be getting an invite to have a little chat with Stephen Johnson.
I think
perhaps.
so.
Oh man, look at the damage. Shame.
Such a well-presented car, and these guys, Marcel and his good friend and teammate Sergio Perez, really enjoy their racing. Cam?
You know. Mike Henry, we've just been watching the charge of Max Vidal through the field. He's certainly put his head down. Is a splitter going to hold him up much so for the rest of this race?
Well, you're always better with one on it, aren't you? I think you'll be okay. Ultimately, you always suffer a bit of aero understeer behind the other car. So, to be totally honest, we'll just see what happens. He generally deals with it okay. He's had plenty of practice, so he'll probably be okay.
Krause refers to the Sonic way and Max Vidal being under the car working on it. He seems like a great young guy.
He is a really good young guy. He comes from a good family, and his old man has a workshop and he's a mechanic, so it's not like he doesn't know what he's got to do. So, yeah, put him to work. He's damaged it. We can put him to work to fix it.
And you're quite hard on your drivers at time, Mike. So the question I've got for you, what's the target for this race you've set for him before and now?
Well, obviously the target, with the points the way they are, you just got to get a clean finish. So finishing first and then as high up second. So, you know, we said to him, we got enough time to get up the front, see what we can do. Old Jones has pushed off a bit, so that might be a bit harder, but you're going to try and get right up there. But ultimately, you just got to come home clean.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, mate.
King of the short, sharp one-liner. I love it. He's always been that way too, hasn't he, Mike Henry? You kind of get a almost Larry Perkins vibe about it when you go and chat with him, don't you? Just says it straight, how it is.
A little bit of a backhander to his driver, saying he's got a lot of practice driving without a front splitter. He did lose 1 or 2 last year, Max Vidot, so bit of a clip from the engineer.
Meantime, you and I sat up straight while Cam was chatting there because Love and Pancioni were really battling through turn 2. Love didn't get it done there, but you sense he has speed, he has momentum on his side here. So Jones has driven with real smarts, Richard. He's been holding an advantage of about 1.3, 1.6 seconds for a number of laps now. Just managed it beautifully. Remember, he leads the championship coming into this race on top with 258 points. Ryan Sewell on 246, Max Vidot 240. That's for the championship so far. Now, Sewell, we know's had dramas. Vidot on the fight back after yesterday. This is all good for Harry Jones right now.
You're absolutely right, and I really like the way that Harry's pieced this race together. Longest race of the weekend, so when you've got good, clear track position like he has, you don't need to go too hard too early. Keep the rubber underneath you for later in the race. The way this race is going, Aaron Love, I think, might well get to the back of our race leader, and we could have a fight because right now the SRG car is the fastest on the racetrack, pushing on and applying the pressure to Christian Pancioni, who's running in second place. So Harry measuring the race the way he has now, and he's got Warren Luff on the headset, on the ears, coaching him through the process. That will make sure he's got something to fight with if it comes to a battle in the lead later on in this race as we go back down to Emma Francesco.
Marcel, it seems like every time I'm talking to you, it is for the wrong reasons. Tough luck. Can you take us through exactly what happened?
Look, it was, to be honest, I think I just ran out of talent there. I just come in pretty hot into turn 6, and I was on the wrong side of the road, and there wasn't much grip there. I didn't realise. Unfortunately, I took out Michael Hovey, which I'm really terribly disappointed about. I feel for him. He was having a good race, and I think we all were. It was a bit of a donkey move.
Bad luck. Thanks for the chat.
Thanks.
I love the honesty. What did he say? Bit of a donkey move.
Bit of a donkey move, yeah. Well, that's... Oh, no, Barwood. Shane Barwood around exit turn 5, and contact, it looked like, with the inside fence. And he was running 11th at the time, car number 21. It's prepared and run by Ash Seawood
Has
Motorsport.
he got away with that?
I think he's done it without a scratch.
Ooh.
That's rare. Wow. Full credit to Marcel Zalur for owning up to that one.
100%.
That's really impressive. He won't like that. Oh, brake lock up, Aaron Love. Interestingly, it was the right-hand side tyre is braking up for turn 2. Keep an eye on the back of your shot here for the green and orange car going round. Barwood. Was there contact? Yeah, there was. Just gentle contact with the tyres. I tell you what, another metre down the road and you're in the concrete. The tyre wall did its job very nicely.
I'm intrigued as to what started it. Did the car perhaps just ride a curb or at some point about there?
Yeah.
And the rear stepped out and he was in trouble from there, wasn't he? So Pancioni's still continuing to defend this well, and I say that with a real sense of fairness. He's driving superbly, knowing the pressure from Love here at present. So advantage is 1.2 seconds between Jones and Pancioni as we look at this battle for second place. Cameron Crick sits in third in the 777. There he is, just at the top of your screen, coming out of turn 8 now.
Sam Shahin still leading Tag Heuer Pro-Am, and he, at the moment, doesn't quite have enough of a margin to Brett Bolton to win the class in this race, but he'd still take the round result for Tag Heuer Pro-Am overall. Tripping outside the top 3 in the outright standings, but that's not an overly significant concern in racing within a race. Here's Vidot, so he's still chasing down Shahin. He's pulled that margin down from 1.5 seconds to a couple of tenths now. 5th and 6th position on the road. And Aaron Love, Rusty, just dropped off the back of Pancioni a little bit in the last couple of laps. So might have used his tyres up to get to the back of the VCM Performance car, and now maybe paying the price for that. Just a couple of quiet laps might be what the doctor ordered to bring the Michelins back to life a little bit and then attack later. But all the while, Harry Jones just measuring that race lead.
Got to say as well, knocking on the door of the top 10, doing a brilliant job in B class. Goldie has had a superb weekend in car 22, hasn't he?
Yeah, terrific. That battle in Class B is really, really competitive between himself and David Gregg, as Shahin finds himself defending now to turn 5 from Vidot, who's got a very good run out of the corner. Might just try sneak one down the inside at 6. There he goes. And Sam is more than smart enough to know they're not fighting really for the same race. So get a good drive out of that corner. Vidot grabs the spot, and now Brett Bolton in a class battle. You can tell the different classes with the different coloured numbers on the windscreen. Yellow for Tag Heuer Pro-Am.
Great job by the McElroy racing driver, but the advantage is now less than a second. So these two have made inroads, Pancioni and Love. So Harry Jones leading the way. Is there an element of what Richard was talking about before? Everyone having just a little reset here. Nurture, look after those tyres, knowing it's going to be a frantic, say, final 5 laps of this race. It's building, folks. Let's get back to the lane. Emma?
Warren Luff, working as a driver coach with some fantastic young talent at the moment. What sort of things are you working on with these guys?
So in obviously these longer races, just trying to give them sort of some lap times and splits and gaps to the cars around them. Obviously Harry's doing a fantastic job. He's leading at the moment. Brett Bolton is currently second in AM and doing really well and pushing on. So yeah, just trying to keep them relaxed, keep them composed and just give them whatever information is going to help.
I'm sure that they will be so happy to have a mentor like you with so much racing experience. That's a shock.
Yeah, look, it's great to work with all these guys and especially sort of our young guys, obviously Harry and Ryan. They've been doing a fantastic job this season. Ryan had a bit of bad luck at the start of this race, but he'll come back stronger at the next round.
What is some of the specific advice you've given these guys, especially before they jump in a car?
Yeah, look, it's really about just trying to relax and stay composed and just trying to, I suppose, give them a bit of experience from obviously stuff that I've been through and everything like that, and just trying to help shortcut their learning curve.
Thanks, Luffy. Always a pleasure.
Thanks very much.
His dad still has and has been entrenched in the Sydney driver training scene for 20 years, originally at Oran Park when I first met him and just across the back here at the drag strip at Eastern Creek or Sydney Motorsport Park now. And if there is a car on Luffy's resume, or there'd be tracks internationally, but he's got a huge international CV as well. He's driven a huge amount of things. That knowledge bank that Jones and people in the McElroy stable can benefit from is huge, isn't it?
He's a great character and racing Porsche Pace Carrera Cup Australia for McElroy this year, so his information very relevant because he's driving the same cars at a very, very high level.
There's Love. Oh! With a lap car there, that looked three of them, and he gets it done, and that's really good racing between all of them. No paint traded there. Real smarts in the way they went about it. Could have been messy, but gets it done. So Love moves into second place now in this race.
And Nathan Murray in the Garage 1 entry was attacked by 2 at once. Harry Jones goes through. Nathan was doing the right thing, trying to get out of the way on driver's left. Pancioni just a little bit too deep, caught out, I think, a little bit by that lapped car and being under attack at the same time by the young West Aussie. Aaron goes through and grabs the spot, moves himself to second, and it's only 8 tenths to the Helimods car of Harry Jones, who leads this race. Still plenty to play out in this third and final race. Round 2 of the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge Australia. Next stop for this championship, as it is with the Shannons Nationals, Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. That place was designed for Cup cars. It's a cool place for Porsche one-make racing.
If you enjoy your driving, and these guys are all proper enthusiasts, 2 tracks in 2 rounds that are great for the driver. I mean, that Phillip Island in particular just showcases these cars as they were designed and meant to run. A little bit of a lock-up there for McGregor. Remember, he has a 5-second penalty for, we're assuming, a review of an issue at the start of this race. He sits in position 11 at the moment. It gives Michael Lochisano in 10th there in car 10. Just a little bit of breathing space for now. Up in front, meantime, Love has the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 31.69. It's 0.6 of a second between Jones and Love, so we'll keep an eye on that with 10 laps remaining in this endurance race. We love this aspect of Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge Australia, and the fact that the Jim Richards Trophy now is decided over an entire season. It makes these endurance races, gone down at turn 2, a real focal point of the weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's Tony Martin, Class B contender. He's running 21st. At the time, just outbraked himself up at turn 2. First driver to do that in the history of Sydney Motorsport Park. Here's another look. It's Brett Bolton and Sam Sheehan. So this is the Tag Heuer Pro-Am battle with Max Vito in front, and there goes Tony. Pretty simple to do. It's a big stop from well over 200 kilometres an hour. These cars stop so very, very well. There's the leading battle. And there's Jim Richards Endurance Trophy races, and indeed the Endurance Cup in Porsche Pace Carrera Cup Australia. They have this knack of just building and building and building gradually until in the final 5 or 10 laps they just explode and deliver something very, very cool. You get the feeling that now Aaron Love is clear of Christian Pancioni. We might be seeing a little bit more of that. And yet again, that classic McElroy v Sonic battle that's been a hallmark of this championship and indeed Carrera Cup for so long. Ash Seaward Motorsport with Christian Pancioni in third, GWR Australia in fourth, so 4 teams in the top 4, which is a terrific performance. Great to see the variety back to Buick Motorworks in 6th place with Sam Shahin, who's under pressure from Brett Bolton. Tag Heuer Pro-Am. Another lap car, just opens the door a little bit to Christian Pancioni to try and come back to Aaron Love. It's the fight for 2nd and 3rd. Vito clear of Shahin now, and only, actually, I say only, it's a big margin. He's 11 seconds behind Cameron Creek. So I think from here, we need to keep pushing, but point scoring exercise, I think, for the former championship leader and 4 race wins of the year.
But it does, okay, he took a dip in points yesterday with that clutch issue, but he's getting a good haul in this one and trying just to really keep that loss isolated to that race yesterday. That's a great recovery from Vito from the back of the grid up into 5th.
And aren't championships made on those damage limitation days?
Absolutely.
When things could go really bad, but you make the most of what you possibly can and get some points. And it's a long championship, 6 rounds, a lot of races, a lot of different circuits, weather conditions, Phillip Island in June. I mean, it could be snowing for all we know. There's a whole lot that's going to be thrown at these drivers the remaining 4 rounds of this year. So very, very early in the piece, and he can rebound from a DNF, no worries, because other drivers are going to have them at some point.
Won't wrap up, of course, until the Bend. In Adelaide, our 2nd visit to the Bend, the final round of the Shannons Nationals in November. So still a big year to come for these guys. And as you can see there, Bolton has been able to get ahead of Sam Shahin now for 6th place. So that's 4 position. Jones it's a watching brief for him up in front, isn't it? He's managing this superbly. It's a 1.2 second advantage. It seems to go down just beneath a second, then back out to 1.2, 1.3 seconds. He's really looked after those tyres, it would seem. 8 laps to go. The question mark, I think, really is over those behind him. What state are Love and Pancioni in, and do they have something up their sleeve to throw a challenge out in the closing laps?
This has been a really impressive drive from Brett Bolton, Rusty. He's climbed to 6th place. He's just passed Sam Shahin as the boys down at Ash Seaward Motorsport watch on. Their young charge is currently in 3rd place, 17-year-old Christian Pancioni. There's another ASM car with Roscoe McGregor running 11th. 3rd most experienced driver in the history of this category. So Bolton gone through. Brett was 2nd in Tag Heuer Pro-Am last year, 6 race wins. To his credit, said to me earlier in the weekend, man, Sam has just raised the bar in our race within a race in GT3 Cup Challenge, and really feel like you earn your results when you're racing someone like him who's got so much experience now in Porsche Pace Carrera Cup Australia. But Brett, he's a terrific character. His nickname's Blisters because he hangs onto the steering wheel so tight. He literally blisters his hands across the course of a race meeting. So the team, in not an entirely original nickname, have dubbed that on him last year. The Bold Living Group, it's a property development and home construction company up there in Queensland.
Only 0.3 of a second here between Vito and Bolton. So is Vito in the latter stages of this race now starting to... He's wide there, he's wide. Bolton looks up the inside, might get it done at turn 2. Vito is ideally placed though for the next corner and hangs on to it. But can he hang on to it for 7 more laps? Has the inside running for the next one. Bolton can't get it done there.
Good bit of clean, hard racing. They're still wheel to wheel. Turn 4, be on the inside for turn 5. And they still go side by side. But I think Max Vito is hurting. I think the front tyres have gone away on that car. He's lost his lap speed. And lapping a couple of seconds a lap slower than the race leaders at the moment. We touched on it earlier in the race, tearing that front splitter off. Causes understeer, it'll cause the front Michelins to grain.
Look at it, that's a great example of it.
Perfect.
Right there. Runs really wide on the approach there, out of 7 on the run to 8. So he's got a battle on his hands. Up in front though, Love down to 0.5 of a second.
This isn't done yet. 5 laps to go, 6 to go, correction. And the fight is on for the race lead. You just say that it usually builds in the last 5 to 10 laps. Here we go.
Just well, that's scripted.
3/10. Doesn't really matter the timing margin because it's a Porsche length. between the McElroy car and the Sonic car, and Harry Jones is dealing with lap traffic. So he gets to them first. Oh, Marty Ewart just moved across, trying to do the right thing and get out of the way, but it actually hurt the race leader there because Harry followed him across, and you could see the car twitching as he came out of turn 4, getting on the throttle. Oh no, he's just got to salvage this race, Max. He can't let this get to his head, just needs to bring it home and score some points. What we were talking about before, Rusty. Salvage the best of a bad situation, move on to the next round of the championship. I'm sure that's what Michael Henry and the boys and girls at Sonic will be telling him on the two-way radio.
Shaheen was able to get by him there, so it looks like just one place that he's lost as we take a look at the Shannons Nationals replay. So behind him there, big lock up down into turn 2. And he'll now have to nurse that as well for the remainder of the race. And Shaheen was able to get by. Love right with Harry Jones. They'll get 5 laps to go this time around. Let's get an update from Cam.
Yeah, Mike Henry's just having a chat with Max Vidot right now, so I'm just going to let him finish that chat at the moment. Mike, you've been working with Max all weekend. How hard did he have to push, and how much does it hurt him at this point of the race?
Yeah, obviously without the front splitter, it has hurt it. So he's got no front grip, and as it's going on, it's getting worse. So we've just seen a big lock-up. So we just got to manage it from here and do what we've got to do.
From your point of view, and we've talked about the developmental phase of this category, how do you coach a driver through this situation?
Obviously not probably during the race so much. You talk to them a lot, but afterwards we'll talk about it. Just understand how to keep a cool head and monitor what's going on around you, and then do the right things to just look after the car the best you can, really, is what you've got to do. So it's talking about how they, manage their own thoughts.
And last question, what are some of the radio communications at the moment? How are you trying to calm him down?
Just from what we see here, then you talk to him when you've seen a moment, calm down, focus on the job, think about what you've got to do over the longer distance, look after the tyres, those sorts of things.
Thanks, Mike. And guys, you heard from Warren Luff as well before. It's all about keeping these young drivers cool and calm throughout a long race.
Yeah, thanks, Cam. Rusty, with the political answer that Henry gave us about 10 laps ago about that front splitter, he should have been in the election last night. He played it under the radar, and 10 laps later he's come back on, no, well, actually, it has been quite an issue. We're losing ground. This was Roscoe McGregor going up the inside of Michael Lochisano, turn 12. He's got a rear quarter window popping out of that car. A bit of added ventilation on what is turning out to be a staggeringly good day out here in Sydney's West. Just over 20 degrees at the moment. Track temperature, thanks to Michelin, up to 32 degrees. So it's building. We'll continue our countdown towards TCR Australia's 2 races a little bit later on.
A couple of other highlights with 4 laps to go. We've mentioned the great job by Goldie in Class B. He continues to hold 12th outright. And Sergio Perez, Saturday was not a good day for him. He's in the top 10, up to position 9.
Really good drive. Again, another bounce-back performance, isn't it? And that's what these longer races give you the opportunity to do. You've got laps to work your way through the field and get some ground. So we wait for the leaders.
Lights on. The intimidator is Aaron Love at the moment. Harry Jones, at the last time they came through, our first sector, it was 0.4 of a second. Looks closer based on the pics you can see there at the moment as they make their way around the back of Corporate Hill. Time running out. Has Jones got something in reserve as he's just saved it nicely for the run to the flag?
It's been a special year for the Love family in Porsche One Make Racing because his older brother Jordan is the form driver in Porsche Pace Carrera Cup Australia. He's won the last 5 straight races. He's second in the championship behind his teammate Dale Wood. And wouldn't it be cool for this West Aussie clan, for the younger brother, the 16-year-old, to do the job as well? Vidot's dropped back to Tom Taplin now, so this is the fight for 7th and 8th position. Tom sliding that car around, coming out of turn 4 and 5. But I still think there's a bit of energy in this battle for the lead. I got a feeling there'll be an attack before this race is out from Aaron Love.
A bit of lap traffic here. That's David Gregg in Class B. He stays out of the way as they get down to 8. Taplin hoping to get a good run here and maybe move by Max Vidot in position 7. 3 to go now for our race leader, Harry Jones, from Aaron Love. And Christian Pancioni, I have to say, in recent laps, getting maybe just through some clean driving, is not out of the mix there. He's 1.1 behind Love. It's a second, but he's been gradually clawing away at it, hasn't he?
If there's a Love lunge, I think Pancioni could be the one to benefit from that because he's just close enough to take advantage of any fisticuffs that those leaders might get into. Vidot defends turn 1. Taplin's got the wider entry, so he'll carry more mid-corner speed and have a better run up into turn 2.
Max stays mid-track, makes life hard for him. Taplin will have to go to the outside, but he's not deep enough there at that point. Looks to the inside now. That's nicely done, and it's all done. He's through. Taplin is through.
Yeah, Max couldn't get the car turned. That's that understeer we were talking about. Mid-corner, it was awful, and Taplin's car was so much better through the slow speed part of the corner. Could get on the power earlier and drove out. So it's really hurt Max losing that front splitter late in the race. This is the leading battle. There'll be 2 laps to go next time by. Will Harry Jones hold on? Or if there's an attack from that bright orange and yellow car behind, does he let him go? Because if he does, he will still win the round. So that's the scenario that Harry has to keep in the back of the mind. Do you go for the race win and the glory, or do you take the points and avoid the risk and get the round victory overall? I'm going to say he's going to go for the race win because that's cooler, I think. I'm not sure.
Oh, look at this here. That's awkward, but he goes down the inside. Love goes the long way around. It's close. That lap traffic just a factor for a moment as they came out of turn 1.
That was a Sonic car as well. It was Graham Williams, so a little bit of friendly assistance, but Aaron Love just opened the door, and it's the closest it's ever been. The cars are dancing around at the end of a 24-lap race at Sydney Motorsport Park, notoriously tough on tyres. Long, fast, loaded cars. Love very wide on the exit of turn 5. You won't want to do that too many times, or it'll cause the ire from race control and track limits. I'm told pretty firmly in driver's briefing that it's 2 wheels over the yellow line, the track limit boundary, and that's it. But Love is close. Jones will have to defend on the run into the turn 9 hairpin. And what sort of drive can Aaron Love get out? And once again, these Jim Richards Endurance Trophy races deliver right at the very end. 3.9 Ks to go next time around. Just 1 lap. And whoever wins this race out of these 3 will be a first-time race winner in one-make Porsche racing.
Saw Tony Andrzejewski from Porsche Cars Australia before in the paddock. He's been delighted with the weekend that everyone has put on here as far as the category is concerned. So well done to he and all of the staff from Porsche Cars Australia. It's such a professionally run series, this, but at the end of the day, they want great racing, and they've got that all the way to the checkered flag here. Less than a lap to go. Can Jones hang on? Love looks hungry. Lock break, a lock break. Is that the last roll of the dice at turn 2?
I reckon that's it, Rusty. He went a little bit deep. It was almost like he was hesitating as to whether to go down the inside and commit to sending it or not. And in the end, grabbing that inside front Michelin tyre caused him to understeer wide and dropped him that vital car length or 2 off. Nervous faces down at McElrea Racing. Harry's still got some lap traffic to deal with here. He might just get to them by the end of the lap, which will open the door up for car 78 as well, into turn 6. The braking zone for the hairpin is going to be absolutely critical here for Harry Jones to get right. He won't want to be too defensive to compromise his exit, but I think he'll be a little bit worried about all these lap cars in front.
Pancioni, look at Pancioni too. So they're just trying to ensure they thread the needle here and get through this lap traffic cleanly. Nice job by Jones. Gets by the first one. Love now about a car length behind him. Final 2 corners. What a weekend it's been for the championship leader. He's shown some real smarts in the way that he's tackled this endurance race. Love not close enough out of the final turn, Richard Crail. What a result for Jones in the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy race. Congratulations. Well done to the McElrea Racing team. And the radio message will be something like, good job, Barry.
Yeah, it will be. They're all Barrys down there at that team. Their Kiwi roots. What a terrific drive. Under immense pressure, especially in the final 10 laps. Out on their feet on tyres. And Harry Jones has driven the race of his young career. The 19-year-old engineering student at the University of Queensland. Brett Bolton, 5th outright and wins Tag Heuer Pro-Am. Really good drive for Blisters. Sam Shahin just behind him will win the round in his class. But this young man adds his name to the list of winners this season. And how quickly things can change. A championship that was looking like it was being dominated by Max Vidot has now delivered a weekend with 3 different winners from 3 races. and a new championship leader in Harry Jones going into round 3.
He walks away with the most points from the weekend here at Sydney Motorsport Park in outright terms. Well done to Aaron Love. And look at the battle for third, Richard, for the final spot in outright terms. Shahin's good jog yesterday has left him just a point shy. Christian Pancioni will get it, so 156 points for the weekend for Jones. Love 128, so 1 and 2 in that race, 1 and 2 for the weekend, and Pancioni will grab that third as well. Great job. Emma?
Matt Jackson, what a fantastic drive by Harry Jones, and of course he takes the lead of that championship now.
Yeah, exactly. It was good. He got a bit of a gap at the start while the other boys were tussling amongst themselves and managed to hold his everything into place, I suppose, and bring it home.
He's a fantastic young talent. I can see a great season ahead of him.
He is. We've got 2 young, talented guys, and we've just got to keep them bringing points home.
Thanks, Matt.
Cheers.
That's been, I know there's been a bit of news this week in relation to driver movements and those joining McElrea Racing, but the experience that they have had with the likes of Jackson Evans, the likes of Matt Campbell, that's a real draw card for young drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's outstanding. And Jackson's running Career Cup Germany this weekend, finished 4th overnight in race 1, which is terrific. Confirmed the results. In the end, it was half a second. It really was closer than that, though, between Jones and Love. Pancioni 3rd. That's his best ever result. Cameron Crick 4th. Likewise, Brett Bolton wins Tag Heuer Pro-Am. Sam wins the weekend in the class. Tom Taplin's been very solid to 7th. Vido, well, he got the points in the end. He lit that car home in 8th place. Sergio Perez, you touched on earlier, Rusty, to 9th. That's a stout drive. And Ross McGregor continues to produce really good race results, just battling it out with Michael Lochisano at the end for a spot inside the top 10. And Andrew Goldie completes the sweep in Class B. A West Australian driver who, that team is he and his best mate, John Van Leeuwen. They go racing every weekend and they have an absolute ball.
What it's all about. Down in the McElrea Racing pit, they are delighted. That is the championship leader. That is the winner of the weekend here. And what a weekend it's been for Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge Australia. So many stories, championship-changing moments as we look at the Shannons Nationals highlights from the final one of the weekend. It was a demon start from Sam Shahin, but it would ultimately be viewed by officials as being just a fraction too soon, and he would get a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, and the big story early was race 2 winner Ryan Sewell popping the clutch and having no clutch to pop as he launched off the line, and he was a DNF, and that's hurt his championship campaign to no end. Max Vido was the same. He tore the front splitter off the Bob Jane car early in that race and had some work to do. This was a strange accident. I think Marcel Zalua said it was a donkey move. That was his quote, not ours. He ended up failing to finish. So did Michael Hovey, the driver he crashed into. Shane Barwood got away with one at turn 5, despite making contact with the wall. Ultimately finished 13th in that race. Wild moment. The fight for 3rd and 2nd was on, with Love going up the inside of Christian Pancioni as they came across Nathan Murray in the braking zone to turn 2. Massive Michelin brake lock-up for Max Vido as he was struggling with understeer late in that race. Max surrendered the position to Sam Shahin. And a fist pump in the air from Timmy from McElrea Racing to his driver, Harry Jones, who becomes another first-time winner of this race weekend and trenches himself in top. He's the round winner. He wins the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy race. He'll stand on the top step of that podium very shortly here at Sydney Motorsport Park.